What should you expect when hiring a designer? Hi, I'm Jess with Lux Designs, an interior designer that's been practicing for well over a decade now. So, what should you expect when you're thinking about hiring a designer? So, there are a couple different stages that you're going to go through, and you're going to meet with your designer on several occasions in order to get through the whole process. So, I'm going to use a bathroom remodel as an example for this video. So, the first thing you're going to do is the initial consultation. Generally, this is going to happen over the phone. This is kind of an opportunity to have like a little meet and greet with your designer and see if you guys are just a really good fit for each other, if your personalities kind of mesh with each other, and so forth from there. During this, your designer is actually going to ask you several different questions. What kind of issues or problems that you're trying to solve? And this is going to give them a good idea of what it is that they're going to be working with. Then your client may ask you what your style type is like. Do you like farmhouse? Do you like shabby chic? Are you mid-century modern? And if you don't know, that's okay. That's what your designer is there to help you with. Your designer may ask you if you have any inspiration photos, perhaps a Pinterest board or some Google photos that they were able to save. And those are incredibly helpful for your designer because you don't necessarily have to love everything that's in that photo, but your designer will be able to pick out some key things in each photo as they go through them to kind of get an idea and an understanding of you and what your style type is like. If you don't have anything like this, your designer may give you a little bit of homework and ask you to go online or to look at different types of magazines or maybe some architectural books or something like that, just to kind of help you and them get an idea of what it is that you like. Now, the next question that your designer is going to ask you about is budget. Ooh, I know that can be kind of a scary topic when discussing numbers with somebody, but a ballpark range is really all that they're going to need. Now, this is an incredibly important part of this conversation because it is going to define how big or small your designer needs to go in order to assist you with the project that you're looking to do. I can tell you from my own personal experience that I do not, as a designer, want to give you a high-end luxury bathroom with all the bells and whistles that has a pretty high price point if you don't have the budget to support it. Like me personally, I know my goal, and several other designers out there that I'm familiar with as well, don't want to blow you out of the water. Like, we want to work with you. We want to provide a space that every time you walk into brings a smile to your face, and that you are also comfortable with what you paid for it as well. So now, depending on the type of designer that you have reached out to, may make a difference on this next part, which is going to be potential service agreement. If you're working with a designer that works in a showroom, this may not be a thing for them at all. If you are working with an independent designer such as myself, there is the possibility that there is going to be some kind of service agreement that needs to be read over and signed, a potential deposit that needs to be made, or just some kind of written agreement that you are both going to further engage in this project. Now, if you do go with an independent designer, there are a couple things that you should probably look out for. One, you're going to want to make sure that they are qualified. Make sure that they really are an interior designer versus just somebody saying that they are. Next thing is you want to make sure that they are insured. You don't want to get involved with somebody that doesn't have the backing that they may need if something were to go haywire during your project itself. Another thing you're going to want is going to be references or some kind of referrals. You may want to look and see if they have a website or if they have a portfolio that you would be able to look at to make sure that they are qualified, basically, is what it boils down to. After you've gone through all of that and you guys feel like you are a good fit for each other, your designer is going to set up an appointment with you in order to meet with you in person on site so they can get some eyes on that project. First visit. Okay, so here we are. We are going to do an in-person meet and greet with you, the client, and this is a great opportunity to further build that relationship between the two of you. This gives the designer an opportunity to get eyes on the space. I can say for myself, I am a visual person, I am a visual learner, and I don't have a very good poker face either. So most people tell me that they can see the wheels turning a little bit as soon as I walk into a space, and they can tell that I'm already kind of putting the whole thing together in my mind. So this is the opportunity that your designer is going to go over some of those inspiration photos with you, and kind of discuss what it is that you like about those pictures or images. And so this is also an opportunity for your designer to go over the project more with you, really see what kind of issues or problems that you're going to want to be solving as well. Your designer is going to measure the whole space in detail, and they are also likely going to grab some photos of the space as well. This helps with like the before and after photos, but for me particularly, when I get to working on a project, I come up with a ton of questions. And if I'm able to refer back to the images that I took of that space, a lot of times I can answer my own questions. So since we're talking about a bathroom in this regard, this is the type of drawing that your designer will likely come up with on site itself. They're going to notate things like your center lines, how wide different areas are, your overall dimensions, what your ceiling height is going to be, where different fixtures are, such as a commode, or even something like this, which is going to be your floor vent, or something like this, which is going to be electrical outlets and so forth from there. So drawings paired up with the images that they would take of your space are all the items that they're going to use in order to start creating a new space to propose to you. So after all of that information is gathered, your designer is likely going to set up the next appointment with you, where they will be able to propose any kind of drawings that they have come up with for you. The design phase. So a lot of work is done behind the scenes. You're not necessarily going to see it right away. That is when the designer is going to take all that information back to the office or wherever it is that they work, and they're going to come up with a couple different options for you. I typically come up with 2 to 3 for my clients to kind of let them see different possibilities that could be. And there are several different softwares out there that designers can use, such as AutoCAD, Chief Architect, Revit, 2020, SketchUp. And no one is any better than the other. It may just be what your designer is comfortable with. Now, with the software that I use, and I know a lot of these other ones as well, you can come up with 3D perspectives. So think DIY or HGTV or something along those lines, when they kind of show you the drawings popping up and how you can kind of like navigate or rotate the different things, and you can kind of walk through the space. You can showcase any kind of material selections in there and so forth. You get a pretty good idea of what the space would look like as a completed project. So when you do meet with your designer to go over the different options that they have suggested, this is an opportunity for you to discuss things that you do like or that you don't like, and sometimes you can even cherry pick from the different options that they have given you to really kind of solidify and narrow down what it is that you would like to have for your new space. In that conversation, there may be some things that you ask for, and the designer may say, yeah, we can do that. Or sometimes they're like, no, we can't do that, but here's the reason why. And not everything is always possible. Your designer is likely going to be taking notes so that they can come up with a new set of plans for you. I typically will do up to 3 revisions for my clients, and that kind of helps to narrow everything down to get it to where they would really like it to be. As an independent designer, anything beyond 3 revisions, I will start charging extra for the time that is put into it. This is to protect myself and my time, but I think this is also a really good tool for you as the client as well, because it's going to make you really think about what it is that you want, why, but it also protects your time too, because then you're not having to constantly meet with your designer to go over these things, and it'll just kind of help streamline everything. So depending on what you, the client, are looking for, you may just stop there because all you're looking for was an actual design of what you want the space to look like. And you may have your own contractors and everything that you would want to use in order to accomplish said remodel. Material selections. Your designer likely has some kind of material selections already kind of picked out for you based off of conversations that you have had in the past. And those may be good suggestions, they may not. But if you do want your designer to help you with material selections, what should you expect? Well, they likely are going to meet with you in a showroom if you are working with an independent, or if you are working with a designer that already works in a showroom, they're going to take you out on the floor. From there, they likely are going to ask you, what do you want to be the focal point? What is the wow factor that you want yours and everyone else's eyes to be drawn to first? That is a lot of times where you start to build everything off of it. So if it's your countertop, if it's your backsplash, or in our case, since we're talking about a bathroom, your shower, you and your designer may start with tile for your shower. Once you kind of have that nailed down, then you'll be able to start building everything else off of it, of what goes well together, what doesn't, where you can use some materials and where you can't. This is a great opportunity for your designer to kind of give you quick education on the functionality, the maintenance, the cost, and so forth of any of the materials that you are looking at. The one thing I will say is don't overwhelm yourself. And if you are working with a decent designer, they're not going to allow you to be overwhelmed either. I typically try to keep it to 3 options when it comes to a specific material. I find that keeping it with 3 options, you are able to eliminate other ones compared to your top favorite 3. So depending on the software that your designer uses, they likely can put those material selections into your drawings. So then you would be able to see how all the different pieces of the puzzle come together and what that space is going to look like when it's complete. So what's next? Well, that's going to be quotes. If you have asked your designer to assist you when it comes to material selections and so forth, you likely are going to want to receive quotes from them as well. And depending on what level you are wanting your designer to be involved in is going to depend on what kind of quotes they are gathering together for you. If it's just materials, great. But some designers out there do offer labor, trades, and project management and so forth from there. I personally love to work with my clients from the very, very start of the project to the very, very end of the project. I love to be involved in every step of the way to be a helping and guiding hand for my clients themselves. Not to mention, I love the entire process. I love the befores, I love the afters, and I love the studs and everything in between too. So while your designer is gathering all those quotes together, depending on what level it is that you chose, they may need to bring some of the trades on site so that they too can get an eye of what the space is and what they're up against in order for them to be able to put a good qualified quote together for you as well. During the quoting process, a lot of times the designer and the trades are going to be able to get a good timeline of how long this project is going to take, when it will be able to start, depending on what their workload is already like, how long, and when it may end. So once all the quotes are together, designers typically will have a little sit down with you and another appointment. This way they can go over the quotes together with you. They would be able to answer any questions that you may have in regards to materials, labor, and so forth from there. This opens the opportunity to have conversation about any kind of project management that you may want. and it opens the conversation for any kind of contract that may be signed as well. Typically, designers do not expect you to make a decision right then and there. We know that you're going to want to go home and you're going to want to discuss this or think about it before you pull the trigger. And that is okay. That is very wise for you. So if you find that you do want to sign a contract, you do want to move forward with the full scope, your designer likely will give you the contract ahead of time. That way you can kind of take a look at it. This way, if you have any questions, they would be able to offer those answers to you. I would never trust a contract that says that you have to pay 100% in full upfront, not when there's labor and so forth involved. Once you get into a project where you're ripping out walls and you're moving things and so forth from there, you likely are going to want to have a contract that involves a deposit, maybe some progress payments, and then a final payment as well. That is how I work. I want to make sure that my clients know I still have skin in the game too. This way I'm not going to be a fly-by-night. I am not going to just take your money and run, because that is not what I want to do. So after the whole quoting process, maybe the contract signing with them as well, then the project begins. Your designer should be on call business hours in order to answer any questions or assist, depending on the level of involvement that you want your designer to have. I hope this information was helpful for you today. I hope you learned something new. I hope I clarified any kind of expectations that you may have had. And if you do have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And if you like this kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, share. Getting the word out there is always very, very helpful. Thank you for watching today, and until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye.